Today for Mousetrap Monday, I'm going to show you one of the most remarkable mouse and rat traps that I've ever seen, but it's not remarkable in a good way. This trap has quite a story to tell. I've been reviewing mouse and rat traps for over 5 years, and I've purchased every mouse and rat trap I can get my hands on, and this trap here wins the award for the most expensive trap I've ever seen for sale on Amazon. I had to buy this for $577.02. Currently, it's unavailable for sale, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only sucker in the entire country that bought one of these. If I wasn't reviewing it for a YouTube video, I would never pay that much money for this mousetrap. Also, it's become a huge hassle. One of the conditions of having it shipped from China was they needed a phone number and an email address for delivery, and that was a big problem giving it to them. Somehow the manufacturer over in China discovered I review mouse and rat traps on YouTube, and they started harassing me. My phones received over 50 calls from them. I had to block their number. Also just as many emails, and even months later, I bought this several months ago, they're still sending emails. They want a good review, but really I can't give them a good review because this is a cheap copy made in China of a really great mousetrap. The great mousetrap is this. Here's the original. It's pretty much identical in outside appearance, but in inside, it doesn't look anything alike. This is the Ecamilli mouse and rat trap. I already featured it in a YouTube video. It's made in Italy, and this is one of the most sophisticated mouse and rat traps ever invented. Inside, it has a complex system of gears, electronics, counterweights, and trigger system. As soon as the mouse or rat goes in there and tries to get the bait, it trips a trigger, it rotates a paddle, they fall in the bottom, and it resets, and you can catch a ton of mice and rats with this. I first heard about it from a news story in New York where Mayor Adams was using it. After fishing out all those floating dead rodents in front of the news cameras, that clip became pretty infamous. But as soon as I saw that, I wanted to get my hands on the Ecamilli rat trap from Italy, but it was not for sale anywhere. You cannot buy this trap. I only got this example through connections on YouTube. Pretty much it's imported from Italy and only available to professional exterminators that have a territory, paid a license for it. So if you want to catch rodents with the Ecamilli, you have to hire the company. They'll bring out a technician, set it up, and remove it when it's done. I was curious if the copy from China came anywhere close, but we have a major problem. As soon as I received the Chinese copy, I realized it was nothing like the original. Let me show you why. Okay, to show you just what we're dealing with the quality issues, first we'll take off the top here, the side panels. We'll also take out this piece here and the bait tray. And now we can see the mechanics of how the trap works. Now, most importantly is it does need batteries, and the battery compartment is right here. This is a size I did not recognize, so I had to look at the instructions. The original used a 9-volt battery, but these will use a battery size called an 18650. I've never seen these before, but they're larger than double A's. It takes 2 of these. These are fully charged. I'll go ahead and install them. We can now push this button and turn the trap on. We also need to wind this knob here. That's a spring inside that runs all the gears and mechanics. Okay, to understand how the mechanics of this trap works, the rat or mouse will climb up the ladder and enter this chamber right here. The floor is actually 4 paddles that rotate. So when it's triggered, they'll rotate down, it will fall, and the rat or mouse will drop into the lower compartment. Right now, it is held in place with a piece of metal right here on the corner. But as the mouse or rat hits the trigger, it will go up, hit a solenoid in this, release this piece right here, and the whole system will rotate, drop the rat or mouse, and then reset. In theory, that's how it should work. We'll go ahead and hit that. See, that one worked very well. We'll go ahead and focus on this piece right here. When you hit the trigger, the solenoid causes it to go back and immediately return. And that's how the trap, in theory, should rotate every time. This comes around, the floor catches on it, and it rotates. The first major issue I'm dealing with is right here. There's 2 gears, a very large one and a smaller one. This larger one is attached to this coil spring. So when you wind it around, it'll be under tension and want to rotate. And this bottom one is attached to the paddles on the trapping mechanism. So as this rotates, it rotates here the paddles and powers the trap. What I found on this copy from China is the gears are made out of cheap plastic. Some of them aren't even fully formed. They're short and they don't fit very well with this other gear. So as you twist it more than a couple of twists, it slips. Basically, this isn't mounted very well. It moves, and if you put any tension on it, it will pull away from the gears and you can't get it to twist at all. That's a major problem. I found if you pull it together to get them caught, it will hold for one time. That way, when you push the trap, see, that didn't even work right there. It just slipped out of the way. Sometimes you can get the trap to work one single time, but for the most part, the gears don't hold and the whole coil spring unwinds, even if it's only twisted a couple times, not overwound. Now I'm determined to try to make this piece of junk copy from China work at least a couple times, but that's a pretty hard task. This is such low quality. Now because this moves and moves away from the gears, we're gonna have to try to push this whole unit over and secure it in place. To do that, I have a piece of wood, a dowel that I'm gonna put against the wall and against the piece that holds the gears. It moves slightly over and it locks it in place. That way I can actually twist them a couple more times. And it seems to hold. So with the stick in place, pushing those gears together, when you hit the trigger, it does go around once, but not more than once. Sometimes you can get twice, but pretty much it's only one time. And the second issue has to do with the paddles sticking right here and not rotating. The floor of the paddle is designed to rest on the edge of the trap. There's a lip below there. And that way when the mouse or rat enters, the floor is completely solid. They do not feel it move and they feel more comfortable. But when they hit the trigger, there's a joint that's spring loaded. The flap will fold up. And that way when the paddles rotate, it goes away from the lip and it resets. But the problem is this is sticking and not rotating. If it's completely wound, right there you can see we triggered it and it's not moving. But when you pull it up, it'll go back around. We'll try that again. Sticking. So what we have to do is shave down this lip. I don't care if it's less stable, it's causing the paddles not to turn. So I have a Dremel tool right here. We're gonna shave this down and that way it won't stick and the paddles can rotate more freely. Well, with all these modifications to the copy, hopefully we can make it work at least once, maybe twice, and catch a mouse or rat. I'm going to set up the motion cameras with a side-by-side comparison so you can see the copy compared to the original. Well, last night, each of our traps, both the original and the copy, caught a mouse. All those improvements we did to the copy made it actually work. I don't know if it could catch a second mouse or if the spring unwound, but at least we got one. Now, what we caught is a native species of mouse called a deer mouse. I did not add water in the bottom, so they're sitting down there. Because they're native and part of the natural ecosystem, I'm going to take them out in the wild and set them free. Now I want to test these again, so we're going to set it up for a second night. Well, last night the traps worked again. We got several in the original and we even got another mouse in this copy. So our repairs are working. We're gonna go ahead and remove these mice because again, they're a native species. Okay, mice, you're free. Well, I'm glad those repairs and modifications allowed us to catch at least 2 mice with this cheap copy of one of the all-time best mouse and rat traps ever invented, the Ecamilli. This thing is a technological wonder with the gears, electronics, the counter levers. You can catch a ton of mice and rats with this, and this just isn't worth it. $500 plus for catching 2 mice. That's over $250 per mouse. Not worth it. And it doesn't work on its own. You have to add a stick to push those gears over. If those plastic gears were made out of metal, this might have worked, but really it's just a cheap piece of junk. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider clicking that button. I've posted over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and currently I'm posting new videos every Monday. So if you want to see the best videos on how to catch mice, rats, squirrels, chipmunks, moles, voles, and gophers, stay tuned.